In a quiet village surrounded by golden fields and whispering trees, lived a little girl named Anya. She was about 8 years old, with curious eyes, tangled hair, and a heart as big as the sky. She lived in a small, cozy house with her grandmother, who everyone in the village lovingly called Naniyama. Naniyama was wise and gentle. She always wore a faded blue shawl and smelled of rose water and fresh bread. Anya loved her dearly and followed her everywhere, from the kitchen to the garden, from the market to the temple. But there was one thing that always puzzled Anya, a glass jar that sat on the windowsill in the kitchen. It wasn't special to look at. It had no lid, no label, and it was completely empty. One sunny afternoon, as Anya watched the wind blow through the curtains, she finally asked, "Naniyama, why do we keep an empty jar here?" Her grandmother smiled, wiped flour from her hands, and said, "That jar is not empty, Betty. It's waiting for your wishes." Anya blinked. Wishes? Like magic wands? Naniyama chuckled softly, "Not the kind you whisper before blowing out candles. These are different, these are earned wishes." Anya was confused. "How do you earn a wish?" "Every time you do something kind, or brave, or helpful," said her grandmother, "you write it down and drop it into the jar. One line, one paper. When the jar is full, your wishes start coming true." Anya looked at the jar again, this time with wonder. "Can I start today?" "You already have," Naniyama smiled, handing her a small piece of paper. The first note. That day, Anya helped her grandmother gather fallen mangoes from the backyard. As the sun dipped low, she scribbled on a piece of paper. "Helped Naniyama pick mangoes." She folded it carefully and dropped it into the jar. It made a soft tap against the glass. The next day, she helped her neighbor, an old uncle who had trouble walking, by carrying his groceries. Another paper, another note. Carried Uncle Faisal's bag. And so it began. Anya's little acts of kindness started to grow. Some days, the notes were simple. Shared my lunch with Ronnie. Gave my favorite crayon to Amir. Other days, they were harder. Didn't cry when I lost the race. Said sorry first, even though I was upset. She never missed a day. Over time, the jar slowly began to fill. Not with magic. Not with coins. But with proof of her growth, proof that she was trying, learning, and giving. A season of growth. Months passed. Anya had grown taller, and so had her heart. At school, her teachers noticed how she stood up for others. She once helped a shy classmate read in front of the class. Another time, she gave her raincoat to a friend walking home without an umbrella. At home, she helped her grandmother water the plants, feed the stray cats, and even clean the attic. Each time, she would write a small note. No one else ever read them. They were just between her and the jar. Sometimes, she was tempted to write something that wasn't true, just to fill it faster. But Naniyama had told her, "The jar listens to your heart. Only real wishes count." So Anya stayed honest. The day everything changed. One chilly morning, a big announcement was made at school. The principal stood on stage and said, "This year, the government is offering a scholarship to one student from our school. A chance to study in the city, with all expenses paid. But only one will be selected." The students whispered and gasped. Anya's heart raced. She had always dreamed of becoming a teacher, just like her favorite Miss Samira. But her grandmother couldn't afford expenses. When she told Naniyama about the scholarship, her grandmother just looked at the jar. "It's almost full," she said. "Maybe this is the wish it's been waiting for." Anya smiled, but inside, she was unsure. Other kids had better grades. Some spoke fluent English. Some were great at sports or drawing. What did she have? Her grandmother noticed her silence and placed a hand on her shoulder. "Don't doubt the strength of a kind heart, Betty. That jar is full of courage, not just paper." The application. Anya wrote her application with trembling hands. She listed her grades, her dreams, and a small note at the end. "I believed learning should be shared. If I learn more, I can help more." She didn't tell anyone she had applied, except the jar. That night, she added a new note. "Tried, even when I was scared." Waiting. The days that followed felt long. The jar was full now, with exactly 146 pieces of paper. Anya counted them all. Every morning, she looked at the jar and whispered, "Are you listening?" Her grandmother never asked about the result. She just kept reminding Anya to keep being herself. "You don't stop being kind just because the jar is full," she said. "You were never doing it for a reward, were you?" Anya shook her head. "No, Naniyama. I just feel better when I help. That's what makes you special." The letter. One afternoon, while Anya was helping clean the garden, the postman arrived. "A letter for Miss Anya," he said, smiling. It had the school's emblem on it. With trembling hands, she opened it. Her eyes scanned the page. And then, silence. Her grandmother walked over slowly, worried. "Well?" she asked. Anya looked up, tears in her eyes. And nodded. "I got it, Naniyama. I got the scholarship." The old woman didn't shout or jump. She simply pulled her close and whispered. "I told you. The jar listens." The farewell. The whole village came to say goodbye the day Anya left for the city. Children waved paper flags. Her teacher gave her a diary to write her thoughts. And the principal smiled proudly. But before leaving, Anya did one last thing. She placed the empty jar back on the windowsill. "Shouldn't you take it with you?" her grandmother asked. Anya smiled. "No, Naniyama. I want someone else to use it. Maybe one day, another child will need a place to grow their courage too." She reached into her pocket and handed her grandmother a folded note. It read, "Thank you for teaching me how to make my own magic." Epilogue. Years later, the jar remained on the windowsill. Dusty at first. Then slowly, note by note, it started filling again. A neighbor's child had seen it and asked the same question Anya once did. "Why do you keep an empty jar here?" And the cycle began once more. Moral of the story. True wishes don't come from wishing wells or stars. They grow inside us, with every kind act, brave step, and honest effort. You don't need magic to change your life. You just need a reason. And a little jar to hold your heart.